Hello everyone, hello, and welcome. This is, today is Thursday at 2 p.m. and this is my weekly live on this page. My name is Evelina from evelinahovic.com. I will be just checking the tech thing, always to check that I'm on the right page at the right time. And if you come and see and join me live, then make sure you say hi. And okay, that's good. Good stuff. So today's topic is time and what to do when you don't have time, and how to create more time in your life to do the things that you really want to do. One of the main excuses or the reasons that I hear that people cannot implement changes or do things that you want to do, or like in terms of like healthy eating, even meditating or exercise, or maybe build a new business, or allocate more time to their hobbies, or spend time with people that they want to be spending, is because they don't have the time. And this is, or like when it comes to specifically food and eating, or meditation. Those are the exercise, meditation, and the food things that I hear most often, that I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to meditate. I don't have time to cook from scratch. I don't have time to even meal plan. This is all like, it's just too much, and just so much going on. Life is full, and I get it, right? I totally know what you're saying. But then there's an excuse of like, but no, you don't understand. I have a job or a business to run. I have like 3 kids, and I have a sick mother, and all of those things that happening, and they're like, there's just not enough time to do the things that I want to be doing. So first, and we'll talk about the time, and I'll give you some of the examples of how we even understand to differentiate different types of time, and also give you some tips on how to create more time in your life. And really, it is possible. So first, I want to, oh my gosh, sorry, I just pulled things and almost everything fell off my desk. So first, I want to ask you is, actually, I'm going to start with something different. I think the best explanation of time that I've come across was from the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he's talking about something that's called Einstein time, where the basic definition of that is you are where times come from, and you can make as much of the time as you want. Now, we know that we all have the 24 hours a day. And yet, there are people that run a couple of businesses, massive corporations, children, hobbies, travel a lot, and they still manage to do all those things within the same time frame. And yet, there are others that just running like a, what's the expression that I'm looking for? Anyway, they're running around basically busy all the time, and yet they say they don't have the time. So the time is there to take it and to do what you want with this. And while, you could be saying, I have all those commitments, and I have to be all of those things. What are you saying? I do not have the half an hour to do yoga. What I do not have the 5 minutes to, you don't understand, or you're like, this is my schedule. And they will be telling me like minute to minute, back to back. And the thing is, my question to that is like, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? If you're going to be banging that story and reinforcing that story that you do not have the time, take into account that you are the creator of your life, you will find that more things will come up that will be demanding your time and attention. If you keep saying like, I don't have the time, as soon as I leave work, I have to go pick up the kids, and then I have to drop them off, and then I have to go visit my mother, and then I have to do the grocery shopping, and somewhere in between I have to figure out what to eat for dinner. And all of those things, it's all real, like it's all life, and I totally get it. But if you're going to keep saying that I don't have time, universe will deliver to you more proof that you don't have time, or you have all of those things, or let me give you something else. Oh, now your father needs more attention, and now you have to go not just pick up the kid earlier from school, and now the dance practice is not at this time, and now they extended it because of the show. So there will be more things coming up as you are. Oh, why do I see myself twice? Do you know that? No, I don't. Anyway, so there will be more things coming up in your life that will demand more time and attention. So be very aware of what the story you're telling. And again, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Do you want to have a different kind of story in your life? So going back to the Einstein and the definition of that you can create time in your life, think about this. When you are having fun, and when you're or with your loved one, think that time has a whole different perception of, time flies. It feels, when you're doing something that you truly, truly enjoy, time feels like, this expansive, light, enjoyable energy, right? Because everything is energy. So if you look at the time as energy, when you are having fun and when you're doing things that you love, when you're with people that you're having a blast, then the time is just like, you don't want to be checking time. It goes really fast, and you are just in this feeling of being light and expansive and high energy. When you, on the other hand, doing something to you absolutely, whether it's painful physically or emotionally, if you're with people that you don't want to be spending time with, or you're doing a project or working on something that is just so tedious and not bringing you any joy, then the time feels like it's going on forever and it doesn't pass, and then it feels heavy, contractive, just like dark. If you were to put colors on it, it just feels really not so, sorry, just have all those notifications popping on. All those, it feels like just takes forever. Kind of like if you think about the hot stove, if you're sitting on a hot stove, then if you don't comparing an hour with your loved one to comparing 1 hour on the hot stove, that's a whole different hour. For those of you who have ever experienced and done hot yoga where, some of the poses are being held for 1 minute, that's probably like the longest 1 minute in your life. And then yet when you're doing something you love, what is 1 minute? Is nothing. So time has a different perception depending on the activity and the joy factor that you're experiencing. Now, going back to the real life and every day, the lack of time, telling yourself the same story will create more of the same. Ask yourself, what is it that makes you happy? And you can make a list. It's just like take a piece of paper, divide it by half, and make a list. What makes you happy? What things do you enjoy doing? And then on the other side, write down things that you do every day. Compare the two lists and see how do you live your life, and how much time do you allow for things that you are happy, that make you happy. That list is so powerful. If you compare it even like once a week, do it as a part of your weekly review, then see what you can adjust. As far as the commitments and the lack of time and the banging of the story of like, I do not have enough time, what if you told yourself a different story? What if you told yourself and start imagining, and that goes together with story and visualization of what would you like that story to look like? And on that, I'd love to pose a question to you. When was the last time you actually imagined what your ideal day would look like in terms of where you spent your time and what you spent your time? When was the time that you sat down, or I don't know, whatever, stand up, doesn't matter, when you took the time to imagine what would it feel like to go through the day and have the time to do the things that you want to do? And if you put yourself in that time in the future of imagining yourself there, this is where creation happens. This is how you manifest the life that you want to be living. And what you will find by telling yourself the different story, but imagining yourself like having that kind of day, imagine what it would feel like. Once you're there, once you can put yourself there, you'll be surprised of what kind of things will come up in your life. Like, somebody will just show up and say like, well, I can take your kids. My kids are going to the same dance practice, a hockey game, or I can take your kids. And suddenly like, oh, well, now that I suddenly have like an hour to do something different, or, your boss will come up and, so like you can go home earlier, or, in your business, somebody will just come up and say like, we can do something together, will take off a load off your plate, or something will just become not necessary to do. I mean, there's a whole, in terms of running the business, I'm not going to get into this whole priority of what's important and what's urgent and how to go about that. But this is just the video. I just wanted to jump on here today to talk about how you can create yourself how you can tell yourself a different story, and where you focus on, and what kind of activities and what kind of things do you want to be doing in your life more of, and how to create the time to do that. So really, the tips to shift your perspective and shift how your life looks like from not having enough time and have to do all of those things to suddenly having the time and enjoying the things, and suddenly with universal help, creating the time that you can spend on things that you want to be spending time on. First, the first thing that I would suggest is changing your language on how you're talking. So instead of I have to do those things, say I get to do those things, because I can guarantee you that many things that you think that are tedious and you have to, for somebody else would be a complete dream come true. That comes to running a business, or having to have a job, or like getting your kids to all those different activities. For somebody, like having kids would be a dream, right? So just putting things in perspective and changing from I have to I get to already would feel probably a bit lighter, and like, I actually get to do all those things, which is shifting you into the state of more gratitude and an awareness of being thankful for the things that you have in your life, which is already a huge positive step in the right direction. The second thing would be to tell yourself a different story. Instead of telling yourself, I do not have the time, I don't have the time to meditate, I don't have the time to cook, it's like, I get time to cook today, or I get time to do, I have time to cook once a week, right? But it's a shift in perspective. And the more you tell yourself a different story, the more things are going to look different in your life. Suddenly like, oh, you don't have time because you're in traffic, spending like an hour in traffic. And the more you tell yourself, trust me when I say that, oh my God, it happens so often to me. I can't even tell you, like you say, I don't have the time, I have to get there. And then you get there, you're driving somewhere, which should take like a 20-minute drive. Suddenly there's an accident on the road or a road closure, and it takes you an hour. So the more you're going to tell yourself, the more you're going to create of the same thing. So more is like, oh, you don't have time? Let me show you how you really don't have the time. So, but the same thing works the other way around. If you tell yourself, I do have the time, I get to enjoy this ride, and I get to listen to great music or audio book or podcast or whatever it is, or talk to the person that is in the car, and have this, suddenly like you just flying through the traffic. There's no traffic whatsoever. You got there like in 15 minutes instead of the 20 or even less. So those things will happen as soon as you start telling yourself a different story, changing your language, and just spending more time in the state of gratitude as opposed to lack of, and abundance. And the third thing is spending more time actually visualizing. Okay, the story you're telling yourself, that's one thing. And then imagine what your ideal day would look like when you have all this time in the world to do things that you want to do. And I'm not talking about, vacation time when you like took a week off and you're on the beach or whatever, or traveling or sightseeing. I'm talking in the everyday life, creation of your everyday life, having the time to, if you want to introduce meditation and spend some time like with yourself on reading or meditating, or doing be working on your hobby, or maybe dancing, or developing a new skill that you always dreamt of. Imagine what would be like to wake up with full of energy, have this whatever time in the day to do the things that you want to do, that you allocate, and then go and run a business, so to do the job, to go to work, and then having the time with kids, and all of this is flowing in that beautiful flow of high vibe energy. Imagine what it would be like. Put yourself down in that situation, and the more time you can spend in that time, and it doesn't have to be anything like, allowing like allocating half an hour to do this. This could be seconds. Imagination works really fast. So spend more time doing those kind of things. Because just going back to what I was saying earlier, it is all about, time is energy, and if you are creative of your life and you creative energy, think of that way, that you can create the time that all the time that you need. You can make that time. You can totally make that time. And so if you think of time in terms of energy, in terms of what feels expansive, paying your attention and focus on what feels good and and on activities that you want to be doing, and activities that you absolutely have to be doing at this point. Say that you get to do those things, and actually make a choice to think of them in a different way. So that's just my tips for today. I absolutely love talking about all things energy. So we'll be here next time on Thursday next week at 2 p.m. talking about something completely different. So stay tuned, follow the page, and make sure to come back. We'll see you next week. Have yourself a wonderful Thursday and a beautiful weekend, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.